Hey there, you're listening to the GROUPEX podcast with Tony Sonato. Today I'm talking with Mel Tempest, owner and manager of Genesis Body and Soul Ballarat. We chat about how she got into the fitness industry, opening her first gym and its challenges, radical fitness and still fitness programs, and all things GROUPEX. Mel, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I appreciate your time.
Tony, I'm really excited about this because you know that I am super passionate when it comes to group fitness.
So true.
Also, congratulations on starting up this podcast because you're going to be amazing at it. And congratulations on all the downloads so far.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it was 580 something as of today when I looked at it again. So yeah, it's happening. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mel, tell us, how did you get into the fitness industry? What is your story and how did it all begin?
I got into the fitness industry totally by accident. It is not a career that I sought out. I worked in another industry. I worked in real estate, and then my grandfather was ill. He had cancer, and I left that industry to visit him every day because he raised me, just so people understand the background. My grandparents raised me. So I was travelling an hour each day to go and visit him whilst he had cancer and went through treatment. And that journey went on for around about 18 months. And he passed away. And all of a sudden I had all of this time left on my hands. And I had a girlfriend from the real estate industry who said to me one day, and she lived like an hour away, let's join the gym. Now, my experience at going to a gym was at 20 when I walked in and I did an aerobics class, and the carpet was bright green, and the crazy group fitness instructor had this crazy curly hair, and it was all about doing jacks and running on the spot, and there was no such thing in those days as Corey.
Yep.
And I walked out of the class and I said to her, oh my God, this is at 20. How amazing would it be to be an aerobics instructor? And she said to me, why would you want to do that? So that was my last thought of that and the last time I visited the gym. So what happened was my girlfriend and I, we ended up joining a gym in Melton called Melton Superways, 21 days for $21 on a shopper docket deal.
Love it. Yep.
Love it. So off we went, and I had a little toddler at that time, the youngest one. And so we did the 21 days, and then it was time, as you've got to join up. And I wanted to rejoin the gym, and I did that for a little bit longer. And then one day, I was talking to my husband about, going back to work, and I didn't want to go back to the real estate industry. And I said, what about if I go off and be an aerobics instructor? And I remember my husband did that, how you roll your eyes, Tony.
Yeah.
You've done that. Yeah. So he did do that. And anyway, so I went off to TAFE, and back in 1999, you went to TAFE for 6 months and you went a couple of days a week. And on the very, very first day, I went in and there was all these young people there, and I was known as the mature age student in my mid-30s. So I sat down the back with all the other mature age students, and the first subject was physiology and anatomy. Yep. And I was like, what? I just want to do a step touch and a leg curl, and I have to know this stuff. Now, just for the listeners to understand, I dropped out of school at 14 to sell hot chips and dim sims. So I'm going in to do this TAFE course, anatomy and physiology, and I dropped out of school at 14. So guys, work that out for yourself.
Yep.
Come lunchtime, Tony, I walked down the stairs, jumped in my little white car, and I was going to go home. That was it for me. I was defeated and I wasn't going to do this course. And I looked across to the left-hand side. Next to the building was a creche, playground, and my daughter was playing in there with kids. And I thought to myself, who am I to take that away from her right now? She was there, she was laughing, and she was having a good time. And I was being selfish and self-centered and having a moment because I didn't understand physiology and anatomy. So I put my big girly pants on and I walked up those stairs and sat my ass in that chair for the next 6 months and just passed physiology, just passed anatomy.
Yeah.
But when it came to exercise to music, top of the class.
Love it. Love it.
So that's how I come to do my course. So then what happened was, obviously, as you know, you've got to get work. And my first job was at a tennis centre as a circuit instructor. So I did that for a little bit and then got trained up in Tai Bo. So everybody remembers the big Tai Bo explosion and got to teach that. And then I went from teaching at the tennis centre to teaching at what was called the YMCA. So that was like teaching at the 5-star elite, club in the community I lived in.
Yep.
And got trained up in combat on number 1. So I absolutely loved my combat on number 1. Then got trained in step, had to wait for 8 months before I got my first fill-in class.
Oh,
so
wow.
You had to really earn your stripes.
Yeah.
Sat in bed every night and listened to the old tape deck of Body Combat 1 and my body step training, and by God, I knew those moves off by heart. Don't you worry about that. And anyway, got my first filling class for body step and absolutely nailed it and was able to get my first real class on the timetable. And so I stayed at the YMCA for about 18 months or so. And during that time, Body Jam was launched. And you probably remember that yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, Body Jam was launched. And I was like, oh, wow, I want to get trained in this. And I really could not dance. If anybody knows Marina Digby, ask her. I couldn't dance, but I was passionate about dancing.
Yep.
So I did my Body Jam training, and I went to my, and I know a lot of people out there will understand this, I went to my health and fitness coordinator and I said to her, I want to teach Body Jam. I want to teach this dance class. And she said to me, while you're here as an instructor, you're never going to teach a dance class. And I looked at this woman who was in a position of, besides trust, I also looked at her as being somebody that I aspired to be like. And she was supposed to inspire me to be the best that I could be. And we work in an industry where we inspire people. How could you possibly tell somebody who aspired to be like you that you can't do something?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense. And, for all the mums out there, you'll totally get this. I was around about 34, 35 at the time, and I had 3 children and a mortgage, and, you're telling me I can't do something, and I'm in my mid-30s. So I went home and I said to my husband, I want to open a gym. And I had no idea what I was doing. I have to really say that, no idea. I just knew that I loved teaching and I loved being on the stage. And on the stage, I'm an extrovert, but everywhere else I'm an introvert. And he said to me, oh, how much is it going to cost? And I just made up this number. I was like, it's going to cost $25,000, to open up a gym. And so our journey as a husband and wife team started there. And so over a period of time, we purchased secondhand equipment and stored it in our house. And so we'd moved from a large home to a smaller home in our community because our kids were going to secondary school, and it saved me, driving that hour every day to get them to school. And so in winter I was hanging washing up on the equipment in the hallway because we had this small house, and my 2 older kids absolutely hated me because they couldn't have any friends over because this house was full of gym equipment and all of that stuff, and they were teenagers. So there was a lot going on. Now, in this time that we were doing this, Tony, I was out of work because what had happened was the YMCA had found out that I had a dream, that I aspired to be more than a group fitness instructor, and so I was black banned and I lost my job at the YMCA. But then no other clubs in the community would hire me either. So imagine for like 12 months or so being passionate about group fitness and wanting to open your own gym but not being able to access a gym.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so how bizarre is that? We work in the industry that inspires people to be the best they can be, and here's a whole lot of people going, no, you can't do that.
No, you can't do that. No.
You can't do that. And that's probably, and even today, 2021, we still have that issue. And so to sort of bring the story in a little bit shorter, we found the property. We were going to move into it at the 11th hour. The landlord changed his mind. We then had to go find another property, and it was another 6 months before that happened. So we moved into a church hall that was around about 450 square metres. We opened up the group fitness room first, which was about 90 square metres. The rest of the church hall was being renovated. We opened up with a card table and an old cash tin sitting on the card table.
Love it.
We had no toilets. If the members wanted to go to the toilet during a class, we had to give them a key. They had to run across the road to the car park of the church and use the public toilets in the car park. And this went on for about 7 weeks.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. And then we opened up the whole facility. When I was opening the facility, in my head, my business model was, because we were right in town, and I mean we were right in town, we were going to be the club that, you know, business people came to during lunchtime, after work, before work, corporate club. And on the very first day that we opened, that business model just changed completely, because we had a queue that went from the front door, way down the street. And the common theme of the people that were joining the club, daggy T-shirts, baggy tracksuit pants. It wasn't the crop tops, okay? Sorry, guys. It wasn't the crop tops. It wasn't the short booty pants. It wasn't about the less fabric you wore, the more popular, you were. It was real people. And it was then that I realised that our community needed a non-intimidating fitness experience. And I'd come from a community where the less fabric you wore, the better. So our business model changed straight away. And from that day onwards, we obviously grew out of the church hall and into the facility that we're in now. And during that journey, there's been lots of ups and downs. It hasn't been easy. I've had $3.60 in the bank to pay the wages. I've had staff come and go. I've had to try new programs, get rid of programs. And so, it hasn't been easy. And even today, when we opened, Tony, there were 8 to 10 facilities in our town. There's now nearly 100 fitness facilities in the community of Ballarat.
Oh,
so
crap.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible. And, great. I love it that people are going out there and having a go.
Yeah.
It keeps me on my toes every day. And I'm glad that they want to do that. That's fantastic. But throughout that journey, I've owned the Radical Fitness franchise here in Victoria. We had different programs, and I strongly encourage clubs to always go out and look for something different. Don't replicate the club down the road, because your community will then only buy based on price, or perhaps their favourite barbell class at 5:30 on a Monday night. So we've done lots of things. We opened up Australia's first male gym. So we've done that. That was a pretty big hoop for us to do. Yeah, and it's been a great experience. I've been able to teach overseas in different countries, and I've been able to bring back those experiences and then pass them on to other group fitness instructors and my own team. I'm very passionate about teaching.
Can I just ask you a question then, back on the only male gym? Male only gym, I should say. Go into that one for me. How did that idea come into play? How did you even get that off the ground?
Okay, so it was like this. We had a lot of men coming into our club, and we could see by looking at them and by speaking to them, they felt intimidated even in our non-intimidating community. So one day I just said to my husband, Fernwoods have got female only. Why can't men have their own facility? So we went about finding a premise that was about 300 square metres, and it was opposite Fernwood. And it was called Wise Guys Fitness. So in order to get that approved, because we just couldn't open the doors, we had to go through the Human Rights Commission and the Equal Opportunity Board. And I had to stand up and say why I felt that they should give me approval to open up a men's only facility. And so my feedback to them was it was all very formal. We have people, men of different faith, that can't work out in mixed facilities. This is a place for them. LGBT community, which back in those days we just called it the gay community, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. They also needed a place to work out. And pretty much just said men deserve to have a place. Women do, so why can't men? We talk about being equal, so let's not say, oh, only girls can have that. Let's have the guys have it too. So they pretty much came through. After you stand up and you do the whole thing, they came back to us and they said, yep, absolutely. And that then led to new legislation. So if you go have a look at the human rights and the equal opportunity legislation, you'll see where we've now opened that up for the whole of Australia, that people can have men-only sporting and fitness facilities. Now, that business was open for about three years, and we still had our mixed club in the church hall. And the lease was coming up on both facilities. And like most club owners, I was experiencing a few staff problems in the men's only facility. So you would go to one facility, the staff would play up at the other one, and vice versa. Massive big building came up that was a children's playground that I used to take my kids to. And I said to my husband, let's go have a look. Maybe we can put both places under the roof. And yes, no longer all male, but they would come in to our new business. And so we did. We moved the church hall mixed gym into the bigger building. We closed down the men's only facility, and probably about 80% of those men came across to our new club, and it was mixed. And a lot of them are still with us now, 12, 13 years later.
I love that. I think it's great. So just I want to touch on the church hall there as well. How big was the church hall when you first started? How big was that space?
About 450 square metres, and that was a gym, a cycle room and a group fitness room. And I had to sit down with all the church people and tell them why they should let me rent out the church hall. And it was the most bizarre thing ever. I rocked up in my skirt, my shoes and, my jacket. And then they made me sit on the little chair that the kindergarten kids sit on. And they asked me the question, and I hadn't even, how like you practice some things, and I hadn't practiced anything. And I just said to them, well, I suppose it's a bit like this. How do you know people are going to come to your school faith and your church faith? Well, you don't. So I can't promise you people are going to come to my gym. All I know is I'm going to do the best job possible. And that's how they let me move in.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. So how long were you at the church hall, and how long did the men's gym, how long were they in operation for before you merged and moved into the big one?
Around about 4 years, because when the big building come up, my hubby said to me, if you can find the tenant for the church hall, we'll jump in. And I found the tenant within a week for the church hall, and off we went.
I love it.
That going into the new building is a story itself. So because it was a playground beforehand, and it was still full of playground equipment, because the lady who owned it decided one day that she didn't want to do it anymore in the middle of the day. She just got up, walked out, locked the front door, and left everything the way it was. So imagine getting up out of your business, walking out in the middle of the day, and
enough is enough, and she's gone.
Yep. So those big at McDonald's, they have those big outdoor equipment pieces.
Yes.
One of those in it had ball pits. So imagine, a 1,500 or it was 1,300 square metres then, just a big kids' playground. We had to, because they owed money on their rent and other stuff, we had to refurbish the building around the kids' playground equipment, because they had to auction it off to pay the debt. So for about 3 months, Yeah, I know. So we used to go from the church hall because 24/7 gyms weren't around then. We'd lock up at 9 o'clock, get in the car and drive to the other building, and we'd work through the night. And then I'd get up at 6 a.m, go teach the morning classes. And we had to do that for about 3 months before the auction happened and all the playground equipment was sold. And then we were able to transfer the gym equipment over. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. We even had our birthdays. When we were refurbing the new place, my husband and I remember we sat on the floor with a chocolate cake from Coles and happy birthday.
Love it. Love it.
We lived for about
How long ago was that? What year are we talking about that
I reckon
moved in there?
2000 and would have been 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I reckon it was about 2007.
Okay. Wow.
I know.
Wow. I love that.
I've been allowed to teach a body jam class.
Brilliant. And you know what? You're teaching body jam now? No.
No, I'm not teaching body jam now, but I did go on to teach it in our club when we opened. And
awesome.
A 90 square metre room, Tony, had like 44, 45 people in it. And I love dance and I love combat. And I love freestyle step. They're my favourites.
Yeah. So what has happened since you moved into the premises back then? What have you done in the way of expanding your business, and what were the thought processes and challenges you faced along the way?
So we built a room to our club that's about 280 square metres, and we fought the council for 2 years to get approval to build a room on a building that we own. So work that one out for yourselves, but we still had to do it. And that became our functional training studio. And it's got some pretty unique equipment in it because obviously functional training was starting to become popular. We had a small area in our gym that was functional training, and we kept that operating whilst we fought the council. And then we built the building on the back. And it's got some pretty unique stuff. People would have to jump on our website to have a look at the pics and stuff like that. Yep. And we did that because functional training was getting popular. F45s were popping up everywhere. We wanted to keep our members under our own roof, so we needed to service them with better quality functional classes. So, we offer boxing, we offer cardio, we offer strength, and we're still going pretty strong in that area now. Yep. We made the mistake of when we launched the back room of charging extra because, every fitness business coach out there was going, no, don't include it in the membership, charge extra. And I didn't want to do that. But I did it, and that was probably a crucial mistake that we made. So now that area is included as part of their membership, and that has helped us keep the members that we've got in our club. And I had a lady not long ago say, well, if your members didn't want to stay, obviously, you were missing something at your club. No, we're not. Yep. We're a great club and we offer our members everything. You need to understand that when a new coffee shop opens up down the road, what do we all do as consumers?
Yep.
Hey, let's go try the new coffee. Yeah. And so people do that with gyms. Yeah. So to try and lessen that, we decided to include it in our membership, and we were able to afford to do that. And so we've done that. Yep. And, we've added, because now, bar A classes are quite popular. Yep. We've added those, and we've got those in our club also. So we're always trying to be innovative, not afraid to try something new. We don't follow the trend because everybody else is doing it. I prefer to go in the opposite direction and have people walk away from my club and go, well, do you know they do this, this and this? And none of the other clubs in this town do that.
Yep.
And I love people to speak about our business that way, and I encourage other businesses to do the same.
Having that point of difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So and it was only a couple of years ago you went over to you went from Body and Soul Ballarat to Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said to you earlier on, the building belongs to us.
Yep.
So when we purchased the building about 12 or 13 years ago now, let's say 12 years ago, that's the day that you start your exit strategy.
Yep. Yep.
So, Yep. So anybody out there, if you've got a business and you haven't started to plan your exit strategy, you really need to sit down and start to do it now. Not when you wake up one morning and roll out of bed and go, "I've had enough."
Yeah.
You need to do it now.
Yep.
So the objective was and is to become the landlord of the business that I started and the business that I sell. Yep. So the reality is nowadays, banks look at an independent club, and let's just say Tony wants to buy Body and Soul, and they're going to say to Tony, an independent club, and you're going to pay X amount of dollars for it. And the moment Mel walks out of that club, the value of the club has dropped because Mel did 80% of the work in the club. Yeah. So that's sort of a bit of a dicey situation for them to lend Tony all that money. However, part of becoming a franchisee was the fact that one day when I do sell a club and Tony wants to buy it, the bank looks at, so you're buying into a franchise. Yep. So Tony can't manage the business and it goes pear-shaped. The bank knows that corporate will come in and take control of either a club, or we'll find a suitable buyer, or we'll do a joint venture with the person that's in the club. Yeah. That is the reason, and that is the only reason that I became a Genesis franchisee. Okay. It had nothing to do with anybody putting any money into it. I solely still own the club 100%. It was all about my exit strategy and becoming the landlord of the business I started.
Is your exit strategy on track? Are you on track to and do you have a time frame of when you want to get out, or is it just sort of going, it's there for the day that I'm ready to do this?
COVID got in the way of my exit strategy.
Damn you, COVID.
It did get in the way. I'll be very honest and say, and I don't mean this in the ego way, so please nobody take it that way. I have a lot to offer the industry, very passionate about what I do, and I know I can help other people grow their brands, whether it's club, technology, equipment, whatever. So the door is open for a buyer always. Yep. It just has to be the right number.
Yeah. No, I think that's fantastic. It's good to know. And if there's anyone out there that is interested in looking for a club, get in touch with me and I'm happy to get you in contact with Mel. If the price is right, she may say yes. You just never know. Love it. Mel, what else can you tell me about your journey and about setting up your gym? What are some of the challenges you face? I know you mentioned something there about the F45 and setting up the room, and you had trouble with council. Have there been any other challenges that you have faced that you can share with listeners and something they may be able to pick up on?
Oh, absolutely. So in that journey of building our functional training zone out the back, as I said to you earlier, we had a small functional training zone in the club. I was sued by F45. So sued by F45 because when I launched my functional training classes in my club, I didn't call them F45. I called them 45F and 55F. And like most people, back in the days, this is talking 5 years ago now, hashtagged, functional fitness, hashtagged 45F, F45 did what we all do. Yeah. And they didn't like that. And so they sued me. And the actual suing was over a hashtag. So everybody be very, very careful with hashtags, because if somebody has intellectual property or a trademark, which I do for a lot of my businesses, if somebody was to use one of them as a hashtag, you can certainly be sued. And if you're saying, no, you can't, I'm telling you now, yes, you can.
Jesus.
And I was sued for $45,045. And there's a little bit more...
Is that because it's F45?
I think so. And I think it was a learning curve, not just for me, but also for the people at F45. We had a local F45 franchisee that was just not a nice person, which was adding salt to a wound. And I think the people at head office at F45 didn't truly always know the true story. And I found the people at head office okay to deal with. It was just really the local franchisee who was about to open up his business. But time has gone on from that. There's a lot of water under the bridge, and F45 have a great business model. They've made a lot of money, gone onto the stock market, as you know, and good on them for having a go. But as I said, the lesson there is for everybody, just when you're doing that and you're getting a little bit cheeky, just know your shit before you get cheekier, because you may very well find yourself being sued.
Yeah. Wow.
And no, they didn't get $45,000 and 45 cents from you.
No. Well done. What a strange figure, though. That's, how bizarre. How bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
So group fitness in your club at the moment, what classes are you running? How many classes are you running? Are you in lockdown at the moment?
So we're on what we call probationary. We're allowed out.
Okay, yep.
So we're not like Metro. The clubs are closed in Metro. We're allowed out. We do have a maximum of people that we're allowed to have in our venue at any given time. Yep. And at the moment, we're not doing casual visits, Tony, because we are looking after our own community. So we're not doing casual visits because, unfortunately, when you've got a lockdown like they have in Metro, you do get people trying to escape from the city to come do gym workouts, even if the club is an hour away. So we've started saying no to those visits, and we're just really looking after our own people. We have around about 60 classes a week on our timetable. We also run virtual classes because we're 24/7. Yep. So shift workers and all of that, as you know, can come in and do a class at any time. So we have 3 group fitness studios. We have a cycle one, which also offers 24/7 virtual. We have our main group fitness studio, offers digital as well. And then we have our functional training zone. And that, as I said to you, has unique classes, but that's also open to sporting clubs, school groups, and our members can actually train in our functional zone when the area is not being used for classes. So that's a bonus for we don't run with traditional classes. So we run with the steel programs, and the steel programs offer some great barbell classes, step classes, very good if you've got a lot of newbies. Obviously, they have a combat class, which I teach all the time. They have a trampoline class.
Are they pre-choreographed as well?
Yep. So the great thing about the steel programs is that you go off and you do your training. You get a DVD and you get the music, but they train you to be able to change the choreography to suit your demographic. So if Tony comes in at 9:30 Monday morning and does steel tonic with me, but I might come back at 5:30 Monday night and teach steel tonic again, but I teach it with the same music but different moves because my 5:30 Monday demographic may be fitter than my 9:30 Monday morning people. Yep. So I'm able to change the choreo to suit my demographic, same music, but I'm taught how to change it. So we've found that has been really, really good, even with barbell classes. Like the steel training program comes with 3 different formats. So it's not just like one song is legs, one song is chest. I can use one song and do, back squats and chest. Next song, I can do those 3 muscle groups again, but I add weight to the bar. So it's progressive. So I'm given the ability with these programs to teach them to suit my demographic and to mix it up for my members, and that's what keeps them coming back for more. We still teach old-fashioned tummy, hips and thighs. We teach freestyle step, freestyle cycle, and we're launching a couple of new programs later on in the year. We still teach, the basic HIIT classes, mums and bubs, older adults, and we've just launched a new program. Everybody, please go look for Sub-30 Core Restore. Great program for your new mums. So definitely look that one up.
So what was it called again? Sub-30 Core Restore.
30 Core Restore.
Okay, cool. I'll go and suss that one out myself and have a look.
Yeah, it's really good at teaching not just mums to because you know how a lot of mums, baby's 6 to 8 weeks old, and then they want to get back to HIIT straight away and go flat out. This is about restoring the body, pelvic floor before going and doing that. But it's also good for older women who have damaged their pelvic floor. They can also go do the class as well.
Okay, cool. Nice one. And you mentioned on it very, 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 very briefly around radical fitness.
Yeah.
Now, I've done a little bit of research and realised that you were quite heavily involved with Radical back in the day. Do you want to share your story around Radical Fitness and how you got into that and I suppose your time presenting with them?
Yeah, so Ruthie used to be the choreographer for Body Jam for Les Mills, and she went off and went and got a job basically with Radical Fitness in Argentina, because the people who still do own Radical Fitness in Argentina were the original choreo people for Body Combat when it launched Body Combat 1, just so everybody knows.
Yep.
So she went to them to write choreo for them with her husband. And I just stumbled across the programs because I had followed her through Body Jam. The programs were different. I liked them. And I thought, wow, everybody's doing Les Mills in my town. I want to do something different. So I went to them and said, I want to launch your classes. And we launched their classes. So straight away, we had a USP point of difference in our club. We had Keymax freestanding bag with boxing bags, X55 basic step workout, power barbell workout, and Fight Dough, which was their version of combat. Classes went off. Everybody loved them. It was great, great, great. So then I had an opportunity to purchase the franchise for Victoria.
Oh, wow.
And so purchased the franchise in Victoria to sell the programs to other clubs. And that actually went really, really well. Was given an amazing opportunity to go and teach in Argentina and to teach in France under that brand and in Japan, and extremely grateful for all of those opportunities. But the time come for us to part ways, and we parted ways.
Yep.
They were great programs, and they still are great programs.
So they are still around.
They are still around. Not as big, Tony, as what they used to be in Australia. But there were just some philosophies and their vision didn't suit me anymore, and everybody can appreciate that.
Yeah, completely.
So pretty much gave them back their franchise, and was probably only a month or so out of that, and a couple of master trainers from Romania got in touch with me, and they used to belong to Radical Fitness. They had gone off to design their own programs, which is steel programs, and said, do you want to be part of this journey? And I said, hell yeah, because I love different, and I want to be different, and I don't want to offer my community the same that everybody else offers them.
Yeah.
And so I haven't looked back. The programs are absolutely fantastic. Any club in Australia can launch these programs. But what I love the most about them is there's no license fees. You pay for the training, you get your music and video as you do every month, but there's no ongoing license fees, which means as a club owner, I can use that income and I can use it elsewhere in my business to get foot traffic through my door.
Yeah. So how many programs have Steel got at the moment? How many programs are they running?
Just focusing on a barbell program, which is called Steel Training, a step program called Steel Tonic, a combat program called Steel Combat, and their trampoline program, which is Jump, I believe, Steel Jump.
Okay.
And the simplicity of the programs mean that if you've got staff or group fitness instructors who don't have a lot of coordination, and this is an issue that we're all having recently, because they haven't been taught to freestyle, they've just been taught to press play and go. Yep. These programs are fantastic for those guys.
Okay. And you mentioned there is it monthly music? Stuff that comes out monthly, or is it?
No, sorry. So the music comes out every 3 months.
Or quarterly. Okay, cool.
DVD.
Yep.
And the good thing I like about the DVD is every track is its own little video component. So it's not a great big, like, flashy DVD.
Yep.
It's just the instructors on the screen teaching you the moves. Then you move on to the next track. Then you move on to the next track. So you can either teach the classes as they are in the DVD, or you can go, yeah, I like that, but that's definitely not going to suit my 9:30 a.m. people.
Yeah.
So then you can get creative and throw in your own moves.
Okay. How long have Steel programs been around for?
I reckon it's been 7 years now.
Okay.
7 years. Yep. And the music has the sound effects so that the instructor knows when it's time to change.
Yeah. Yep. So like that's similar to what I remember hearing in the combat stuff in the early days.
Yeah. So and with their combat, they still have the bells and all of that sort of stuff. So that's why I love teaching combat, because you do a kick and there's a and so people feel like they're in a real combat class. Yeah. And the theory is not overcomplicated.
Yep. No, beautiful. That's nice. Yeah. If anyone is interested, please get in touch, because you do some stuff with Steel as well, yes?
Yeah, so I'm happy to train instructors and get clubs on the right track. Yep. And if the clubs aren't sure, I'm more than happy to do a guest class for them via Zoom.
Yep.
Or I can just say to them, look, I'll do a live class. I'll set it up in the club with a Zoom. You guys can log in while I'm teaching a real class, and you can check it out yourself.
Yeah. So back on your club for a second, just now while I've got those programs in my mind going as well. Your club is open. You don't have restrictions going on at the moment, apart from you're on X amount of people that are allowed in. When you were in restrictions, what did you have on offer for your members? There's so much talk around, Zoom classes, or there's, online, the Les Mills on demand stuff, or people just doing freestyle stuff. What did you have on offer for your members, and how did it go?
So we went into lockdown 1, and I just jumped up with my phone and recorded the class on my phone, and then just dropped it on to Facebook and said, hey, everybody come do the class. Yep. And while they were all doing the class, I was like, this is just not going to work. We need to flip, and we need to flip really, really quickly. So we went straight into Facebook Live classes. Yep. And what we did in lockdown 1 was we actually ran the classes on our main page. So we actually had people in our community who weren't members of the club doing these Facebook Live classes. So it was great exposure for the club, great brand awareness, and they were also seeing programs they hadn't done before. Did we charge for it? No, we didn't charge for it. I was doing the classes, so why would I charge? I didn't need to do that. So we got great foot traffic coming to the classes. Come lockdown 2, I sort of said to the staff, well, the people need to see a different face to Mel all the time. And I was teaching like 3 or 4 classes a day in lockdown 1. So in lockdown 2, I said, come in and do the classes. What happened was, I've got a great team, and they've been with me for a long time, but they weren't happy about teaching on a community page where the whole of our community was going to see them.
Yep.
They were happy to teach to their members, but not the whole community. So we had to create a closed group page, and we had to add our members and just our members into that group page. And so what happened then was some of the instructors started coming in and teaching the members' classes. We did Facebook Live. But what I did, Tony, was in lockdown 1, I need to do something with the content. So in week 2, I started dropping the content onto YouTube. I then used the YouTube link to drop it onto a new platform that someone had rang up and said, do you want this? This is new to market. Do you want to test it out? And that was the Fitter app. So I started dropping the classes onto the Fitter app. So then the members were either doing the Facebook Live class and then could follow up and do the class on the Fitter app. So by the end of lockdown 2, we had around about 350 classes on this Fitter app that were just... that was just our club. And it's pretty to look at, and it's really, really easy to use. So it wasn't like I was giving them rubbish. And so lockdown 3, 4, 5, and 6, we've continued to do the same thing, do the Facebook Live classes, and then, upload the classes onto the app. We've done a couple of Zoom classes when we do the MyZone remote classes.
Yep.
So the great thing is, because I was teaching on the stage, behind me is a big projector. So I was able to have my MyZone tile on there and, use my workout to coach the guys at home.
Yeah. Yep.
So when MyZone launched MyZone Remote, we then said to our MyZoners, you need to book in for a class via the app, and then I'll be able to see your tile at home whilst you're doing a workout. So I was able to, if I was teaching a HIIT class during lockdown, I'd be able to go, hey, come on, Tony, you're in the green, you need to get in the yellow. So I was able to coach them because I could see their tile. We were also able to integrate Zoom with that also, so the members were able to see each other. We didn't do a lot of that because we felt that we had really good communication and engagement through our Facebook Live classes.
Yep.
The only thing I noticed, and I'm hearing this quite constantly now, is that with each lockdown, the attendance at a live class starts to drop a little bit. And so people start to go, I'll get out of bed later on and do Mel's class, or I'll get out of bed later and do Tony's class. And so I saw the attendance drop off and the energy and enthusiasm drop off the more lockdowns that we did. Yeah. And this has been common feedback with all the clubs that I've spoken to.
Okay, so I'm gonna just get that through my head for a minute while I work on it. You were running classes. So did your teaching style would have had to change? Yeah. So you didn't have 30 or 40 people in front of you. You just had a camera. How did you go with doing that? Because I know a lot of instructors, and there's clubs I've spoken to as well, that have turned around and gone, yeah, we tried for the first week and then just went, no way, we're not doing that again, because it was just too weird, so different. It's like, no. We tried with the Zoom class and there was, you look up on the screen and there's 15 people or whatever, or 20 people or whatever, but it didn't have that connection. We just didn't bother. How did you cope with that? Because it's so different teaching to a group of people to you being the only one in the venue teaching to a camera. The cues, I'm sure the cues and what you're saying and what you're getting out has got to be very different.
Because I've taught overseas, I had the skill of having to learn to teach in front of a camera and being critiqued. So that was a really big advantage. Because I've spoken to people that speak very minimal English and had to learn to teach with my hands, I had that advantage. It's the problem with instructors teaching to the camera and not feeling confident is that sadly a lot of them don't feel confident physically themselves. So the problem is that they can see themselves in the camera when they're teaching. Whereas when they're teaching in a live situation, they don't see anybody but the members.
Yep.
So unfortunately, we are our biggest critic, though we're in the fitness industry. We look at ourselves and we go, oh my God, really? My legs like that or my arms? Oh, look at my posture. My posture's really bad. Oh my God, look at the way I squat. And so our mind starts to play games with us and we start to critique ourselves in front of the camera. And it's not really about the fact that there's nobody there. We're just obsessed with looking at our reflection. That's the absolute truth. Because the best place to test something out or to try something new is actually in front of that camera. Because when you're in a live situation and you test something out and it just totally stuffs up, you automatically feel the blood rush to your face and 40 people are looking at you and you're like, oh, shit. But when you're doing it to a camera, they're at home and they're so obsessed with getting it right and listening to Tony properly and was he going to the left, was he going to the right, that they actually don't see that stuff up. So I found that teaching to the camera enabled me to try out some different stuff with the people at home, different cueing, different verbal, having to get down on the floor and see who's there and engaging with them more than what maybe I did in a live situation.
Yep.
So use that situation as a learning curve for you.
Yep.
You have to get over looking and critiquing yourself and the way that you look. And there'll be people out there that will say, oh, geez, I don't know what she's talking about. I look great. I don't care. So if you look good and you don't care, why are you complaining about teaching to a group?
Yes. Yep. No, I remember back when I was teaching indoor cycling experience for Network back in 2010, 2012. And part of the course we actually did then was on the second day, you actually set the bike up in front of a mirror and you watch yourself. And we were there for an hour riding to watch your technique and making sure that what you were doing was correct. It's very confronting. Very confronting when you all of a sudden it's you're staring at and you're looking at yourself and oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I need to change that. My posture's, as you said, your posture's crap or whatever's going on. Oh, my God, why is my left knee flinging out to the side every time I'm pedaling? You know, that kind of stuff can be confronting. But I think it's overcoming that and then realizing that, one, the reason why you're there doing it in the first place, it's not about you, it's about the people that are in front of you. And especially now, because it's so different, you know, no one knew this was going to happen. No one knew COVID was going to come upon us, and this is how things were going to be. There have been some online training out there for quite some time. If you jump onto YouTube and you can see some bloody atrocious stuff out there, but also some amazing stuff at the same time. But it is that very much confrontation, I should say, of looking at yourself, just being comfortable with yourself. You know, I think there is that part of teaching differently because you don't have 20 or 30 people in front of you, and what comes out of your mouth, you need to almost say, you know, not, oh, hey guys, or that kind of stuff. It's more trying to teach one-on-one.
Yeah,
is the way I would look at it. So if I'm teaching, I'm going to focus in my head that I'm just teaching to Mel, but not just Mel, but also, you know, Steve, Sharon, Sophie, whoever it may be. So the way I'm teaching it is just to that one person, because I can't say, hey guys, oh yeah, team, we're doing well, whatever. But there's only one person. It's not going to land. It's got to be done differently in that way, so that person that has tuned in on the other end can feel that, you know what, yeah, Tony's actually teaching to me. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. And I think that will help a bit with as you said, that you were seeing the decline of attendance. I think that as well, with some instructors looking to do this, even for we're in our second big lockdown here in New South Wales, that getting out there and giving it a shot. Giving it a go and looking at it in a different perspective and looking at it in a different way and putting a different set of eyes on things, I think is always healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, I still practice in front of the mirror now.
Yep.
And I do that because, I want to know what I look like in front of the members. And, I'm 56 now, and I know that there's just some things that you can't change about yourself as you get older. Yep. And we have to be accepting of that, but remind ourselves why we got into the industry.
Yeah.
I got in it because, I love to teach and I love being on the stage and giving people an experience, and remind ourselves why we're there. If you're there because of the reflection in the mirror, then you're in the wrong industry.
Yeah. Yep.
You're most definitely in the wrong industry, because we're an industry that has to and must inspire people to be the best that they can be, especially with what's going on now. Yeah. And exercise is the only thing, and sport is the only thing that releases the good feel factor.
Yeah.
And it's our responsibility to make that happen. And if we're not going to teach a class because we're worried about how we look in the camera, then probably the best thing to do is to move on and find another industry.
Find something else. Yep. I think now I don't know whether I would say the fitness industry is to blame or whether it's the social media side of the fitness industry, but I think there's a lot of people out there that don't really understand what the fitness industry is, or have a blurred, might not even be the right word, but a very skewed vision of what the fitness industry is, with all these images you're seeing of selfies being taken and all these Fitspo models and all that kind of stuff that you see on Instagram and on Facebook. Well, not so much Facey, but on Insta. A lot of people getting into the industry think that that's what it's all about. It's far from it. Far, far from it. You have a look at your instructors. I mean, back, 2002, 2003, those couple of years when I really jumped into the industry myself, the people that you saw in front of you were role models completely.
True.
You looked at them, but they were down to earth people. They weren't someone on social media that had thousands upon thousands of followers. They weren't someone that looked, like a plastic rag doll up there, or this guy that had bulges and bulges and bulges. And you think, yeah, cool, mate, you actually lift stuff, but could you run? Do you have a cardio fitness in there at all? And I think that a lot of people getting into the industry these days, and I say that from chatting to people that are doing Cert 3 at the moment, or people that are facilitating Cert 3 and Cert 4, there is a disconnect between what I saw back in the early days, and I think what most listeners out there would have seen when they first jumped into the industry, to what the industry is perceived to be now. It's not all glitz and glam. Yeah. It is okay to be an instructor and have lumps and bumps in the wrong spot, because it's about how you connect with your people in front of you. You don't have to have that plastic fantastic body to be an instructor.
I've got instructors that work alongside me that are a size 16, size 18, and a size 20.
Yep.
And those ladies are fit ladies, and they probably inspire more women to take a chance in life because they're on stage putting themselves out there and making themselves vulnerable.
Yep.
And that's who we are now. We're a society of all different shapes and sizes. I think where the industry got it wrong was that they didn't stand up and make a change. We are to blame for the fact that we're first to close and last to open in COVID.
100% agree with you on that one.
Government looks at us as being a couple of steel weights down the back of the gym and some bicep curls. Yep. They don't know that there's a body balance class or a Pilates class or they don't know these things happen in our clubs.
Yep.
They've got absolutely no idea, and people can't say they do, because if they did, things would have been slightly different for us. So we as an industry have ourselves to blame as to the way that we are perceived. And until we go out there and put different marketing out there and a different message out there, it's never going to change.
Yeah.
And with all due respect to the many fitness business leaders out there, we are also caught up in old school mentality and thinking, and we're not progressive enough. And, we aren't allowing talented young people to come through the ranks and lead our industry. Many people are still trapped in fear that they're going to be forgotten about.
Yeah.
And, as again, all due respect, a lot of people have given some great things to the industry and done some amazing stuff for us. But it's time for you guys, now to be mentors and to allow the younger crew to come through and have their say and have their go.
Yeah.
Because we aren't doing it enough. And it's very obvious when events are run. It's the same speakers and the same faces and the same network. And, I go along and listen to them, and some of them are my dearest friends. But I also know that there's somebody 20 years younger that can offer the same.
Yep.
And so we as an industry need to change perception, but at the same time, we need to also grab somebody's hand and pull them up the ranks and say, hey, it's your turn to have a go.
That was one of the reasons I stopped attending Filex many years ago, was because I started seeing the same thing year in, year out, just with a different PowerPoint presentation. It's like, hang on a second, I learnt this last year. I come here for something new. You have the same person just doing it, just a rehatched version, or they delved into something just a little bit more than what they did the year before. It's like, what, as you said, give somebody else a go at getting up there and having a go. There's a lot of intelligent people and a lot of talented people out there at the moment that have got some skill sets. I've just been introduced to a lady down in Melbourne that's doing some amazing stuff that started out with one centre that has developed this program that is now starting to get more and more. And I think she's got 5 or 6 different centres she's running at the moment. One tiny little person. How come we don't hear about her? How come what her story is, and not so much her story, but what she's done in the industry, how come that's not getting shown?
Yeah.
Why isn't it? Is it, and I mean zero disrespect when I say this, is it because we have a certain group of people that have been the business coaches or that kind of stuff for so long that are afraid to let new people in? Are they afraid that what do we do then? If these new guys come in and people are listening to the new guys, what happens then? What happens to me? You know, maybe there is an opportunity in this space as well for the business coaches to look at an exit strategy. Yeah, as you mentioned with your business, it is something to sort of say to the business coaches, hey, and as you mentioned it, train someone up.
Yeah.
There's going to be a stage where, you know, I'm not a business coach, but I would love to get into that space and do stuff. And there are clubs I'm helping out, but I don't have the years of experience under my belt like some of the people out there do. But I look at some of those people and I think, you know what, you're getting to that stage in your career where are these people that are coming through that are opening up centres that are in their 20s and 30s, are they really going to sit there and listen? Are you as relevant now as what you might have been 20 years ago?
Yeah. I agree with that, Tony. And I always say to club owners, and this goes back to, you know, don't worry about what the club down the road is doing. The one thing in life that we can't do is replicate the gift of the brain. So fitness business coaches shouldn't worry about other people coming into their space because they aren't going to replicate what you do. They have their own way of doing things and their own gift. So let them expose that gift. I think probably my biggest beef with the industry at the moment, and I'm seeing this a lot during COVID, is the amount of plagiarism that is out there. Seeing people take other people's content, tweaking it, and then selling it as their own content. And I'm just like, but dude, this person's been doing that for years. You've actually taken that from them. Yep. And I'm seeing a lot of that. And that really concerns me because I worry about the club owners that invest their money in those fitness business coaches who haven't even ran the style of club that they're actually coaching, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I had a lady come to me and ask me a question the other day, and I said, well, what are you hearing from this coach? And she was telling me, and I went, can you just stop for a moment? And then I said, are you talking about this, and this? She goes, I go, can you just go look at this person over here? Because that sounds like their content. And she came back to me and she goes, oh my God. She goes, I actually sat through that person's presentation because it was available on Facebook. Yep. She goes, this person that's coaching me has been telling me all of this stuff and is a friend of theirs on Facebook. And I'm like, oh my God, can you please cut the umbilical cord?
Yep.
Because there is a lot of free content out there, Tony, that club owners and other business owners can get for free off Facebook and can go back to their own clubs and implement it without paying thousands and thousands of dollars to people that haven't got experience in the business that they're coaching.
Yep. Thing that I love at the moment is there's been a lot of emails that have come through to my work email address, mind you, not my personal one, my work email address, of people that have obviously bought a database from God knows where, and my email address has been on it, that they're going to help me reopen my doors, after COVID. Yeah,
me too.
This is the what is it? The tried and tested way of doing things, and I'm like, how? How is it tried and tested? How is it tried and tested when we're going through it right now? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest and say what clubs in New South Wales did at when the restrictions eased last year is going to be different to what needs to happen this year. Yep. We're not going to go back to the restrictions, and I'm going to say this quite firmly. I don't believe we're going back to the restrictions levels that we had when we reopened last year. It might not be the 4 square metre rule. It could be the 8 square metre rule. It could be the 10 square metre rule. Who knows? This Delta variant is so invasive and so attacking everything at the moment that things are going to be different. That is going to look very, very different. A different platform, a different whatever you want to use to that word there is if clubs aren't looking at how, New South Wales clubs especially, aren't looking at how they're going to reopen and what they're going to do to reopen now, I think they're already behind the 8 ball. Yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Not only what they're going to do when they reopen, but what are they going to do next time they go into lockdown?
Yep. And nobody can teach them that stuff because nobody's gone through it. So don't invest your money in that because these people haven't gone through it.
Yep.
And I'm probably upsetting a few people that might be listening at the moment. But, why would you give money to someone to tell you how to do something, but they've never actually done it themselves and we haven't even been through it?
Yep.
I don't even comprehend that.
I think there are coaches out there that will have some level of understanding and some expertise in how businesses run and how to be successful, that kind of stuff. But you're 100% right. Right now, there's not one club that has gone through a complete close down, a complete reopen without it closing down again and the demographic or the landscape changing. That's the word I was looking for, landscape. The landscape changing. Yep. Every time we go into lockdown and every time we reopen again, it's going to look different. It's going to feel different.
Yeah.
Yep. The lockdown that New South Wales are in at the moment, we're here at week 9 at the moment, it feels completely different to last year. And I think that I was talking to my wife about this, Rach, and we were saying that the reason we think that it's different this year is because last year when it happened, everyone went into lockdown.
Yeah.
This year, my local government area, Wollongong, the Illawarra, is in lockdown. If I head south down to Nowra, Batemans Bay, those guys were open.
Yeah.
Sitting here talking to some mates in Canberra, and Canberra were not 2 days or a week ago, whatever it was, were not in lockdown. Yeah, chatting to some clients that are up in Cairns, Townsville, Mackay, that way. None of them had restrictions. But when we went into it last year, we're all in the same boat. Yep. New South Wales did come out of it a bit faster, a lot faster, I should say, than you guys down in Victoria, and we were feeling for you guys down there. And it's that different environment where. Yeah, I think clubs really need to be looking at, okay, Gladys hasn't said we're ready to open yet. She's in fact said that it's probably going to be longer. Yeah. What can we be doing as clubs here in New South Wales to make sure that our members stay engaged now, but also that we re-engage them when we open back up? If let's be honest and say if it's an 8 metre square rule, a lot of clubs aren't going to be able to open back up. What do? Have a booking time on what time someone can actually come in? I know some clubs did that last year. That doesn't work. That you can't run a business. You can't survive and reopen your doors only having, X amount of people coming in compared to what you had before. I've seen so many clubs that have suffered as well because what I class as their sleeper members didn't come back. The sleeper members didn't come back in. So therefore those memberships stopped. And so all of a sudden, those clubs that were relying on that cream on top weren't getting the cream on top. All of a sudden, oh, wow, I've got to push hard. We've actually got to do something different here. And I think that's what I suppose my message I'm trying to say to people now is, what are you doing?
Yeah. And Tony, you have to agree, you have to be doing something every single day.
Yeah.
It can't be, oh, no, they're okay. Their members are doing this. No, you need to be on there every single day when your club is in lockdown. And if you're not doing Facebook Lives or doing content on Facebook, email them, text them, ring them. We did all of those things, even the lockdown the other week. We were still doing it then. I've spent thousands of dollars in text messages and stuff like that. But you have to because they're not going to just go, I'm going back to the gym that I haven't heard of. I haven't heard nothing from them for 8 months, but, hey, I'm going to head down there. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're just not going to do it. And the other thing people need to think about too is that there's a demographic that aren't going to come back until they've had their double vaccinations.
Yes.
That's the other thing.
Yep.
So think about those guys. Think about your older guys. Think about the kids that might live in a certain suburb in Sydney because uni is there or they've been doing practical placement. Those guys are going to go home to their family.
Yep.
So there's a whole lot of movement happening. We've had a lot of people move out of regional Victoria and head to Queensland.
Yep.
That's not uncommon. People moving jobs. Like I said, students going back home. We are only now getting our members back that had double shots.
Yep.
So they've had their membership on hold since March 2020.
Yeah.
Now they're only coming back to us not only just because they've had the 2 shots, but because of the engagement during that time.
Yes. Yeah.
They could have easily just pushed the stop button and said, no, I'm not going back to the club.
Yeah. I think you nailed it with some stuff you're saying around having that offering for your members while they're in lockdown, but also what stops you from doing that same offering when the clubs are open normally?
Well, they're going to have to, if they've got the square metre rule, let's just say a room that normally has 30 people can only have 15 people in it, you still have to do your Facebook Lives.
Yeah.
So this is what we were doing when we were only allowed to have 10 people to a group fitness class, and our room takes like 100 people anyway.
Yeah.
We had a little like platform stage thing set up in front of the stage. There was the camera, and I was teaching 10 and they were doing the workouts at home.
Yep.
Don't think just because you're out of lockdown that the Facebook Lives or whatever it is that you're doing, stop. You need to keep those going. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
With those, do you think that it's worth clubs doing a different membership during lockdown? So
I know members have. Yeah, sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, so as an example, 50% of whatever it may be. So we may be saying it's as a figure, $20 a week is what their normal gym membership is. For those that are at home or can't get into the gym or don't feel confident coming into the gym, can still do group fitness classes at home for $50 less, or 50% less, so $10 a week. Do you think that's something that the members and also clubs should look at? Is that something that has got merit? Is there something valid in that?
If the option is there for them to attend the class and they just don't get a spot because of your booking system and they're still doing the class at home, in that situation, we did not do a discount.
Yep.
Because I value my time and I value the instructor's time, and the club was open. I can't help that you never got a spot.
Yep.
The thing you need to think about is if you drop your price because they may not get a spot, why would they want a spot if you're going to drop your price and they can do the workout at home?
Yeah.
So I'll ask you something, Tony. If you're paying me $20 a week and I said, look, Tony, if you don't get a spot and you do the class at home, it's only $10 a week, what would you do? You do the class at home.
No, because I like that. I like the environment of having other people around me. But I think I'm different in that regard.
Let's see how you hesitated to answer them, though. You still thought about saving $10 a week.
No, it was more, it's more for my head sort of going, no, I'll get my head around that. It was more thinking, would I want to pay a membership anyway if I wasn't able to get into the gym? If I didn't feel confident in coming back because I hadn't had my second jab, would I still want to be charged a membership even though your gym was open? The answer is no. I wouldn't want to pay a membership. However, if you offered it to me at half price and I was able to jump on and do a class, would I be likely to pay that $10? Yeah, I probably would. So I look at it from that different perspective, not just, well, I can't get in. You know what? No, you shouldn't charge me anything. I couldn't do it. But if my choice was not to come back in the gym because I didn't feel safe, I'd still want to have access to something, and I still feel that I should be paying you for your time.
I think that's a bit of each case is different.
Yep.
Because I know that, and I totally get where you're coming from. I haven't had both jabs. I'm 55. I don't want to come into the club. Yep. I don't want to expose myself. I want to do the work at home. Okay, totally get that. But then there's generation 21 to 30 who would go, I can save $10 a week. I'll just do Mel's classes at home and pay $10. I won't worry about going into the gym. There are those people.
Yeah, there are. I'm thinking more. Yeah, you're right. There are those people that would do that. They go, you know what? But then I also think of those and go, is it better to get $10 off them than nothing? Maybe that's the tight ass wog in me that comes out. That I go, that's the Italian that goes, nah, come on, cheaper for cash, give it to me.
I can only say to you that in that position, your membership is your membership, whether you're here or at home.
Yeah.
And if you want to opt in to do the classes on the app and stop your membership at the club, you're still going to pay to do the classes on that app. In saying all of that, we did an awful lot of free content for our members in lockdown 1.
Yep.
memberships went on hold, and all of the classes were free in lockdown 1. In lockdown 2, they had to pay to access the app and do the classes. If they attended the classes on Facebook Live, the class only stayed up there for a very short period of time for them to do it on replay. The class was deleted. They were directed to the app to pay. So there's a little bit of accountability there. Every club is different. Every club's financial situation is also different. So is there a right and wrong to that? No. You have to just look at the club, the business model, the financial situation, and what can be done.
So, no, true. Hey, just one last thing before we finish up. Equipment-wise, did you guys rent out your equipment when in lockdown or not?
In lockdown 1, we let some of our members just take it for free in terms of pump bars and steps. Didn't have a problem with that. We had a very trusted community, and then people that we didn't really know, we rented out. Then that stuff came back into the club in lockdown 2. After lockdown 1, we opened it, came back in for a short period of time. Then we rented it out in lockdown 2. And then because we were refurbing our club through both lockdowns, we were also selling a lot of secondhand equipment because we didn't need it anymore. We were buying new stuff. So then we started to sell, machines and that we were replacing. We got stuff reupholstered. I went out and purchased a whole lot of new escape steps. So therefore I had a whole lot of secondhand steps to get rid of. So we sold all of that kind of stuff to our members quite cheaply. And even in lockdown 6 last week, we just got all brand new bars and weights. So therefore, we had secondhand body pump bars and weights that we were able to sell to our members to do workouts at home. So we've been doing that consistently, and that's been a good thing because then they've been able to come to some of those classes that they weren't able to come to because they didn't have equipment. So I say to any club owner, when you go into lockdown, actually walk your club floor, and if you're got stuff that that you can replace and you're able to do that financially, replace it and sell it. It'll go like a hotcake. Start looking at your group fitness equipment. A lot of people need to be replacing that now anyway, which is what we did. We put in a new floor, purchase new steps, purchase new barbells and stuff like that. And you can just get rid of it. The members will buy it, You won't find yourself stuck with a whole heap of equipment. Not at all, no.
Yeah. Did you lease out your bikes during that time or not?
So we kept our studio bikes in the club. We did not rent out our studio bikes because, as you know, Tony, bikes are very expensive and I wasn't prepared to go down that track if a bike didn't come back. What we did encourage members to do was to purchase studio bikes secondhand from wherever they could, and we did run some Facebook Live classes.
Good.
Absolutely. And the other thing we did, a lot of people had rowers at home. So we said to them, all right, come do this the studio cycle class with me on Facebook Live, but jump on your rower. Jump on your treadmill. So when we sprint on your rower, sprint on your treadmill. When we climb a hill on the bike, up goes the treadmill. Turn the dial up on the rower. So just get a little bit creative and innovative and think about how you can include some of their equipment at home into, say, a home cycle class. No,
good idea. Mel, thank you for taking your time on this Wednesday night and spending some time with me for a chat. I really appreciate everything you've been able to share with us, and I love your story and how you got into the industry and what you're doing now. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Tony, and I love what you're doing with Body Bike. I think it's amazing, just absolutely incredible. So keep up the good work, and if you're a club owner looking for bikes, you have to give Tony a call and grab yourself a Body Bike.
Thanks, Mel. That's an awesome plug, and I didn't even have to do it. Love it. Thank you.
Good things come to good people, and you're a good person.
Mate, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, that's all for this chat. I hope you got something out of it and liked what you heard. If you'd like to get in touch, head on over to the website groupex.com.au. May we meet again.